今天我们将带给大家一个惊喜，嘉宾 Barbara 来到了我们的录音间，我们将一起聊一聊她的中国式生活。Hi, Barbara.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
It's nice to see you again.
It's nice day, isn't it?
Today, not so nice, but perhaps by the time we hear this, the students hear this, it'll be a beautiful day.
So I should ask you a common question. How long have you been in China?
Actually, this time I've been in China for 6 years.
6 years. It's a long time.
Yes, sometimes it feels like a long time. Sometimes it feels like it just went so quickly by.
So, what impressed you most when you first arrived in China?
When I first arrived in China, I came to Shantou in Guangdong province.
Oh, beautiful city.
It's a beautiful city, but my first impression was, my gosh, it's hot. It was in August, and I just wasn't ready for that hot temperature. Water was running down my back, and my students said, oh, it's not hot, it's not hot. And I thought, oh my gosh, if this isn't hot, I don't want to be here when it really gets hot.
They have accustomed to it.
They're accustomed to it, yes. This time when I came to China, I decided I should come to the north, some city in the north, and I picked Dalian because it's the perfect weather, a beautiful city, clean sky.
Yeah. So I'm curious about where did you live? Which state?
In America, right now I live in Ohio, which is in the Midwest. It's south of Lake Erie. So across the lake, which is one of the Great Lakes, is Canada, Ontario, Canada. Mm-hmm. The weather is not ideal. It's not my favorite place in America, but that happens to be where my husband is, where one of my daughters and my granddaughter lives. So that's home to me.
So, are you alone here in China?
Yes.
Alone?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. What's your opinion on the Chinese culture?
I have loved it.
It's strange, very strange with the one in America.
I have studied Chinese culture and loved Chinese culture for many, many years. When I was an undergraduate, I took Chinese literature, I took the history of the Far East, I took Chinese language class, and I ended up the Chinese language class after studying Chinese for a year, knowing the same thing that I knew when I went into the class. 我爱你.
Oh, so that means your English is very cool, isn't it?
My English is cool, my Chinese is nothing. I had a Chinese dancing partner when I was in university, and so I learned important things like how to say I love you. So.
What, dancing partner?
Yes, we went ballroom dancing together, did demonstrations of ballroom dancing. So I've loved Chinese culture for a long time.
So how about Chinese food? Do you like it?
Chinese food, I love Chinese food. Chinese food in America is totally different than Chinese food in China. You know, it's Chinese American food. And Chinese food in China, unfortunately, has MSG usually, Beijing, and I get headaches, so I have to be kind of careful what I eat or where I eat.
So do you cook for yourself?
Yes, I usually cook or
Chinese food or American
food?
Oh,
no, mostly American food or sandwiches or something cold.
Every day you should buy the bread, meat from the supermarket?
No, I have a refrigerator in my apartment, so I can store things.
Okay. I want to know what other Americans think of China.
I think they
Is China a strange country or a very mysterious country in their eyes?
It's very difficult to lump Americans together because, of course, just as there are so many differences in China, there are differences in America. I think some people see it as an economic threat that all of the jobs are going to China. Other people remember that China was communist and they're concerned about that. Other people see, oh, the Olympics! Other people say, oh, so there are frequently Chinese children that are adopted, especially girls in America, and actually many, many Chinese Americans. So seeing somebody Oriental, seeing somebody who is Chinese, it's not unusual in America. So we have a variety of opinions, I'm sure, just as many Chinese have a variety of opinions about America.
Really?
Oh, yes. I had my students do an exercise today where they were writing down a stereotype. What is their stereotype? What is their impression about Americans? And one of the students said, well, let's see, Americans are fat. And, of course,
Yeah.
didn't react so pleasantly to that.
Maybe they eat too much.
Oh yes, we eat too much. And it's true, we're generally overweight.
Too much ice cream.
Oh, delicious things, and KFC and McDonald's and lots of fast
But it's
food.
popular in China now.
It is, and what's happening to the Chinese people? They're gaining weight. They are, and some of the sizes now are bigger in the stores because some of the, especially the younger people.
So your suggestion is to
Go back to your original eating habits. Eat
Chinese
vegetables.
food is very healthy.
It is, yes.
Yeah. Tell me something interesting of your life here.
Okay. Well, something happened. The first time that I went to Shenyang, and I don't speak Chinese, and I took the train to Shenyang, and it was one of the fast trains.
Well, alone?
Oh, yes, alone. And somebody who wanted to practice speaking his English, sat down, and so I had company all the way there, speaking English with a student. But when I got there, I needed to buy a ticket to come back because I had classes the next day. And so I had to buy a ticket for that particular day, which was the 9th. I think it must have been during the national holiday period. And I went to the train station and I kept trying to explain that I needed to go. Well, of course, I was trying to explain in English. And she kept trying to explain that this was not possible, I guess. Eventually, I bought the ticket and then I noticed, oh my gosh, the date's wrong. It's for the 10th.
So
I thought, I have classes. I have to get back. Oh, maybe I just don't understand the ticket because it's all in Chinese. So I went to the right door to get on, and she said, yes, she looked at my ticket. Yes, go on. And then I was supposed to sit somewhere, and I showed it to someone. Oh, yes, go there. And so I went there, and then I showed my ticket one more time before I got on the train. Was I in the right place? Oh, yes, go on. And I thought to myself, okay, I think it's for the wrong day, but I'm on the train and I'm going back to Dalian.
So do you think they ignored you or your ticket?
No, they were, I think, a little nervous because I was a foreigner and they just saw part of it. They didn't look at the date. Yeah. It was the right time, the right car, the right seat and everything. So I got on and I looked and of course someone was in the seat that I was supposed to be in. And I thought, oh dear. And I walked up and down, and then when the train started to move, one of the conductors came by and he said, can I help you? I assume that's what he said, and I showed him a ticket. And he tried to explain to me, it's the wrong day,
Did he speak English?
No, but he pulled out his cell phone and he was showing me the date, and I was saying, I'm really sorry, thinking to myself, I'm on a train, they're not stopping this train, I'm getting back to Dalian. So finally he found an empty seat and I came all the way back. But sometimes it's convenient not to speak Chinese because I was able to get away with something that a Chinese person would not be able to get away with.
Yeah, maybe you could master a foreign language like the Chinese. Maybe you could pretend you can't speak it. Sometimes.
Yes. When I was living in Greece, and a lady there, a friend of mine, had been there for many, many years. Her Greek was wonderful, but she wanted to go the wrong way down a one-way street. And when the policeman stopped her, she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she spoke in English. And, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. It was my mistake. Yeah, so she was able to get away without getting a ticket because he thought she couldn't speak Greek.
Very smart.
Yeah, well, it's a way of working the system.
So, will you go to Beijing to see the Olympic Games?
No, I can't imagine anything worse than going to Beijing to see the Olympic Games.
Why?
There are going to be so many people.
Yeah, so crowded.
Just think how close you can get to the Olympics when you watch it on television. You get close-up pictures. You're comfortable. You have all your food that you want right there and a bathroom. Very convenient. Instead of actually being in the stadium with all of those people. It's just not my dream. And so if that means that I'm watching the Olympics from Ohio, better than watching them crowded with other people and... I think it's a wonderful opportunity for China. And I'm hoping that more and more people become aware of how beautiful China is and how many wonderful places there are here and what the wonderful people there are. I had my younger daughter come and visit in October, and she just loved it. She stayed for 2 weeks. Well, I'm asking my older daughter and the granddaughter to come and visit, And I was very surprised to hear that she wasn't interested in coming. And I thought, whoa, if she sees the Olympics and sees how many, she will see many, many wonderful places in China. I'm hoping that she will get excited and want to come and visit.
So where will your granddaughter be? Beijing or Dalian? Or?
No, if they come to visit, they will come and visit me here in Dalian. And then we would go to Beijing, we would maybe go to Suzhou, Hangzhou.
Okay. I was impressed by the changes that taken place in Beijing. I was there 10 years before, and I saw something very annoyed and not satisfied me. But actually, 10 years later, I was there again.
Just recently.
Wow, astonished!
Yeah.
I was shocked by the great changes happened, and the people were getting more and more patient, more and more polite with the guest, with the foreign teacher or the tourist around all of the world or the country.
I think the government has made a lot of progress and helped to educate the people about how important it is.
The street has become wider and cleaner, and
I went with my husband this past October, and even the sky was clear. The sky was clear. It was a sunny day. It was really beautiful. Beautiful, and I'm hoping that it will be that way for the Olympics too.
And some years ago, the skies were still great.
Right.
And the atmosphere was bad.
Just think about the changes in Dalian. Maybe fewer days with blue sky, I'm not sure. But always there's progress. New buildings going up. Some people ask me why I came to China, and it's because I'm a Baha'i, which is my religion, and all my life I understood that the earth is one country and mankind its citizens. I'm very anxious to learn about all the rest of my family, all the rest of these wonderful people in the world, and learn about different cultures. And so I've had the opportunity to live in different countries. I taught English on the island of Guam for 6 years in the Pacific Ocean. I was able to visit Japan while I was there, and also many countries in Europe. And then I taught English in Greece for 6 years. So that was a wonderful experience.
Is it your habit to travel around the world?
I really enjoy traveling. And when I came back from Greece, I came to Ohio to get a second master's degree and got married and felt trapped in Ohio. I didn't want to stay in one place. So after 20 years of living in Ohio, I said, okay. So Ohio is between Chicago and New York, not in the middle. Chicago is more in the middle.
Good location.
Yes, it's a good location, and there are many people there, but like in the whole state of Ohio, there are 12 million people. Well, hey, you can have that many people in the city here.
12 million.
12 million. And I think, didn't they say that Chengdu had 10 million people? One city? And so in my state there are 12 million in the whole big area. So that's big.
The total population of America is just
maybe 300 million.
Yeah 300
but in
million.
China. Add a billion. And then so that's one of the problems that China is facing. But I think the government is doing an excellent job. Because there are problems associated with it, and the government understands that. It is making changes.
Especially we can say from this earthquake.
Oh, yeah.
The government make quick movement, make quick action.
They did.
To save the people over there. Every time when I back to my dormitory, I just turn on my computer as possible
to see what's happening.
Right. To see what happened.
Well, all the people are pulling together, the soldiers and the military, everybody helping. So when I retired from my job, I was working as the director of a library in Ohio before I retired. And an opportunity presented itself to go to Switzerland and work in a library there. And so, hey, Switzerland, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I lived there for 7 months, and I decided that that's not really a place that I would like to live. Everything is so controlled, so orderly, it doesn't seem to be a place where you can be spontaneous. It's like, I don't know, everything works like they say, like a clockwork, like a Swiss clock or something, or a watch.
Just like always 5 o'clock.
Yes.
真的。
Yes, everything was very...
It's too tired.
I think it's very kind of... I don't know. Everything's clean and everything's beautiful, but I think maybe I decided that wasn't the best place to live for me.
So China is
China is wonderful. There are people who are not open-minded, but then there are people who are open-minded. And I'm continually impressed by my students, and certainly my students in this university. Every class that comes in, I think I find that the students speak English better, and they seem to know a lot. I am worried about them, though, sometimes because I think they are accepting everything about Western culture. And there are many things that are wrong with Western culture. For example, lack of respect for their parents, the idea that they are more important than the community as a whole. I think that aspect of China is very important, and I'm hoping that it's not lost. There are so many fundamental values in China that are important to maintain, and not just accept the idea that you are what you look like. No, that's not what's important. It's not the outside that's important, it's the inside. And I think that's a traditional Chinese value.
Do you think which one is the meaning of our life, the devotion or enjoy?
I think trying to contribute something positive to society is something that makes you happy. So you could say, I think the world is a better place. I've done something to help someone. There's a new movie, Bucket List. Have you seen it? One of the things it asks, he said some sort of great wise person said, when you die, 2 questions are asked of you. Did you have joy in your life? And the other question is, did you bring joy to anybody else? And I'm thinking, yes, that's part of living, I think.
How long have you been in China?
Actually, I've been here for 6 years.
6 years, quite a long time, huh?
Mm.
So, what do you think about Chinese food?
What do I think about Chinese people?
Food.
Food. Chinese food. Dalian is famous for seafood, and I grew up never eating seafood, so that's a little difficult. When I go to a banquet, when I go to the mayor's banquet for something, and they serve all of these things, I generally don't try them.
So I'm making a fool of myself in front of you.
That's all right. That's all right. You're totally self-confident, I think. You have a high enough impression of yourself that you won't let that bother you.
You love to see movies.
I do. I used to watch quite a few DVDs. I might watch 2 in one evening, because I generally don't go out in the evenings. I don't want to go out by myself, and so I'm home. There's a whole pile of DVDs. Usually when I go shopping, I buy 10, 20 at a time. I have so many that I haven't seen yet. I think at the time when I'm in the store, oh, that looks interesting. Maybe I would like that one. But then in the evening, if I'm tired, I just want to either watch something violent or something silly romantic comedy. And so frequently I don't watch some of the important ones or the philosophical ones. I think, I'm too tired for that.
Chinese version or English movies?
Oh, I think we spoke earlier about my lack of Chinese.
Oh.
Yes, definitely.
You told me before, right? So
watch the English version with the English subtitles, actually, also.
yeah.
I've gotten in the habit of watching with English subtitles.
So do you think it's the best way for foreigners just to learn English by watching English movies?
I know people have. Watched English television and learned English that way, or movies. That's one way, certainly.
So I'd like to ask you something more personal. What's your purpose to be a teacher? You graduated from a normal college?
When I graduated from university with my bachelor's degree, my major was English literature.
English literature.
With a minor in languages. And I began teaching English at the high school level in Oregon. I was in Oregon at the time. And then I changed my career. I taught in Guam for 6 years. I taught in
You know, the
Greece for 6
small island
years.
in the middle of the Pacific Ocean?
That's the one. That's the
Okay.
one. Northern Marianas Islands. And then I taught in Greece, English as a foreign language, for 6 years.
You've told us before.
And I came back to the United States to get a degree in library science. I changed my field to library science.
Library science, what's that about?
Working in a library, being the director of a library, or being one of the librarians, cataloging books or something.
Oh, librarian. Okay, so why did you come to China to teach? What motivates you most?
As I said, I'm really interested in different cultures and different peoples, and I've had a lifelong love of China. So,
I'm glad to hear that.
Of course, this is where I want to be. And it's kind of interesting. I returned from Switzerland and found that my husband had bought only one series ticket to the opera. Instead of buying one for me, he just bought one for himself. And I said, "Why did you only buy one ticket?" And he said, "Well, I didn't know if you were going to be here or not." I said, "Oh, okay, well, I'm not. I'm going to go back to China." So I've been in China, in and out of China since then. So this is actually seven years.
7 years in China, so which city impressed you most?
Well, Dalian. I really love Dalian, and that's why I've stayed here for those years.
You ever been to the other city of China?
Yes, I've been to quite a few cities.
Where?
During the May holiday, I went to Ningbo, and then to Putoshan Island.
That's a famous spot.
And then in the April holiday, we went to Xi'an, but I had been there before.
So, what do you think of Xi'an?
It had changed quite a bit. It had been 12 years since I was there before, and it had changed quite a bit. It's just very beautifully set up, very lovely for foreigners. I think everyone who comes to the Olympics will go to Xi'an and be very impressed. It's just wonderful.
There got to be a lot of foreigners there. So, can you name us a little other, cities in China you like most and why you like it?
I've been to Hangzhou several times and to Suzhou several times, and both of those cities are just wonderful. I was thinking it would be nice to study Chinese in Hangzhou. I know they have various programs for foreigners to study Chinese. Such a beautiful setting. Have you been to Hangzhou?
No, never been there before. You're asking me questions.
But you certainly can see on on television frequently they say, at least on CCTV 9, they're frequently saying Hangzhou, yes.
And Thousand Island Lake.
Yes. But then they say about Dalian, what is the city of romance, I think. I think Dalian is the city of romance. And so if you don't have, all right.
So as is a city of romance, there are a lot of couples on the campus, they're going out at night. And so what do you think of the love romance in college?
I know that is it the question about whether it's appropriate for students to marry while they are students is, to me, it's not the real question, because my students, I taught at Jiaotong University, and I had first-year students who lived together off campus. So what's the difference between living together off campus and being married? I mean, it seems to me that if they are married, at least some sort of a commitment instead of just living together. I'm not quite sure. I think being married doesn't mean that they will be less industrious as students than living together off campus.
There's a really short having fun, I feel. So let's just jazz it up a little. So I want to know something about the American, Christmas, Halloween, and something like Veteran Days. Veteran Days, you have a lot of celebrating activities?
There are a variety of holidays, and I notice more and more of them are being celebrated in China. I think the government's concerned about that, and so we have this. Now we're going to have Dragon Boat Festival Day. Is that true? June 9th is coming up here in China. Dragon Boat Festival, is that the
That's so traditional.
Yes, I know. And before, apparently, we didn't celebrate that here. We had the May week, the golden week of May holidays, because the government was concerned that maybe the Chinese people were celebrating Valentine's Day and other Western holidays instead of the traditional holidays. So what do you think about that? Do you think the Golden Week is the way to go? Or do you think
canceled.
the government is
3 days
canceled?
of holiday,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
this
can't
year.
go back home,
That's this year. Do you think that they'll continue? Do you think that this is
which is not a good move, I think.
Oh, okay.
I
You like the idea of being able to go home every once in a while during the school term?
even though I don't.
Oh.
But I love holiday. So, how do you celebrate Christmas?
Actually, I don't celebrate Christmas. I'm not a Christian, and I don't
You
celebrate Christmas.
believe in
I believe in God, but I'm not a Christian. The Americans are very religious, but that doesn't mean that they're all Christian. And Christmas is a Christian holiday. And it's also a very commercial holiday. It's like buying things. And what did you buy me? And do you love me enough to buy me something? And so my family and I and many of my friends don't celebrate Christmas.
Have a Halloween.
Halloween is my favorite holiday. It's near my birthday, and that's fun. When I was at Joplin University, we had Halloween parties every year. So I'm missing those, but that's all right. I'm somewhere else now.
So, it impresses me that the largest city in the world is New York. I've never been there before.
No, the largest city in the world is not New York. I think you'll find that New York
I mean,
is
the
nowhere.
place that drives the business world.
Oh, all right. You mean one of the most
We are in a
important cities?
financial college, so
One of the
we've
most important cities, you're saying.
been
is
there
New
before a
York.
couple of times too.
Yes, I have.
So, what's your impression?
I think the general impression from people who have not been there is that it's dangerous, that you can't walk down the street, that everyone is carrying a gun.
Subways.
New York is a great place to be. They're wonderful plays, and you can walk along the street without any fear. So it's all a matter of where you are and what your attitude is, and of course you exercise the same caution that you would walking in Beijing. Any big city, there's bound to be somebody who's not so good, as well as a lot of people who are very good.
That's quite nice. So, you've seen the Statue of Liberty, and
Yes, I went with a Chinese friend of mine to the Statue of Liberty, and he was a Tai Chi teacher in Shantou University, and he came to America, and I drove him around, and we went to New York City, and he wanted to go to the Statue of Liberty. So we stood in line with all of the other people standing in line to go up the stairs inside, up there. You can go up. Yes.
I overlook the New York City.
No, not very well, but actually it's in New Jersey. The Statue of Liberty is in New Jersey, but just right looking out. So it was many, many stairs, and so I think it was less exciting than he thought it would be. But he did get to have his picture taken in front of the Statue of Liberty, and so that was an important part for him.
So I heard outside you guys kept talking about the Olympic Games. That's where I'm very interested in. So, do you decide to watch one of the games in August?
I will probably watch whatever happens to be on television when I happen to be near a television set. But I probably would not, stay at home just to be able to watch the Olympics. It depends on the event. I'm interested in some things and not in others. But no, I would not go in person to the Olympics, no.
You're interested in what?
Well, I really like American baseball.
Baseball?
Yeah, which is not one of the major events at the Olympics.
Well, they hint me that I should ask you something more formal. So,
Okay.
which do you think is more important for students, creation or diligence? Which is sort of weird.
Like creativity, you think?
Creation, to be creative.
Creativity or diligence?
The diligence and work hard.
More important. And so it's an either or. Maybe it's both. Maybe the answer is both. But I think creativity is not stressed enough in China. Creativity and critical thinking are important skills that everyone needs in this world. Diligence, I don't think wins Nobel Prizes. I think diligence means you have a safe job, but I can't see it as being a satisfying life. Diligence maybe lets you pass the exam, but I don't know that diligence helps you come up with a new idea or a solution to a problem.
But the Nobel, the Nobel Prize winners are all very diligent.
True, so it's a combination of both qualities, isn't it? They have to be creative and diligent.
So, what would you do after you retire?
Actually, I have retired, haven't I? I retired in 2000.
You take this job as a full-time or part-time?
Oh, yes, it's a full-time job.
Full-time job, okay.
And when I was working in the library in Switzerland, it was full-time. But I've retired, so I've retired several times. And when I retire from China in 2009, then I will probably take more classes at the university. I live in a university city and very close to the university, and people who are retired can take classes for free at the university. So I've taken German, I've taken art history, I've taken history of the Middle Ages.
You can speak German?
Geology. I've studied German, I've studied French, I've studied Spanish, I've studied...
Oh, cool.
I speak Greek, yeah.
Have you ever been to Britain?
Oh, yeah.
So what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Britain and America.
Well, it's so small. No.
I don't mean the size. I mean besides accent, besides, size, and other things like culture and people.
There are many things that are different, aren't there? Many different accents.
Do you have any difficulty when communicating with the British people?
Sometimes it takes a while to understand the accent, depending on where you are, because the people speak differently in different parts. My student who went to Glasgow, Scotland, was like, couldn't understand the Scottish accent for a while until, after a couple of weeks it started to make sense to him. So basically you had no difficulty in communicating with each other. Right. The two dialects of the same language.
So you have a word about how to improve your listening comprehension.
Now this is a personal question, isn't it? Yeah. Depends on how much listening are you doing. You listen to BBC or to
VOA.
CNN. Every day?
No.
Well, that's one way you can improve your listening comprehension. Listen every day, boy.
So, which country impressed you most?
Which country in the world impressed me most? Lordy. I really enjoyed living in Greece. They have the environment is wonderful, but also a spirit of life. They call it kefi. That you might be walking down the street and you feel like bursting into song, and you can do that. It's acceptable. There's a tradition of volta, the walking along in the evenings, just walking and looking at people, walking slowly and looking at people. And I noticed that they always comment on people. Oh, that's a nice tall boy. Oh, my, she has lovely hair, doesn't she? So they comment on everyone. For me, when they see me, they say, Kali Karya Heki. She has a good heart. They can't say that I'm beautiful or tall or anything, so they say, she has a good heart.
So I'm wondering about something about your experience. Which part of life would you like to see over?
Nothing. Every part of my life has been wonderful. And I just foresee...
So the next question goes, which part of your life so far would you like to live twice?
I don't think I could. I've had a very wonderful life, and I look forward to sitting on my porch in a rocking chair and remembering all the wonderful things in my life. And I think having that attitude makes me a happy person and keeps my hair from turning white or gray from stress. And I think always trying to see what's good about the situation.
Through a lot of... Have you ever hit you that, write a memoir or something? Memoir, a record of experience and then publish and make a lot of money.
can't imagine that anyone would be interested in reading. But, of course, I have some wonderful memories. I've saved some letters that my mother wrote, and I was thinking that someday, when I retired, I would try to edit those and be able to publish something about her life, because she also had an interesting life. That's one thing that I think we lose. We don't ask our parents very much about their lives. I think all of the students here have maybe very little idea of what their parents or their grandparents went through and some of the adventures that their parents or grandparents have had. And it would be nice if sometime before those grandparents die, somebody asks them and actually listens to what they say about their life. They've seen so many changes in China. They have really wonderful stories to tell, I'm sure.
So, I heard that just now they ask you something about going abroad and suggestions. You have a little word with them. So I want to ask you formally that some suggestions about going abroad after we graduate from college. So do you have a word?
It seems to me that part of the problem is...
Language barrier?
No, it's what your government, my government, any government will accept. Do you need special permission to be able to go abroad, to get a visa, to be able to leave, to get a passport? All of those concerns. I think it's loosening up. More and more Chinese are going out as tourists to different countries. Even if you don't have an opportunity to go study in another country, I think it's very beneficial to go and visit other countries, to see the world, to broaden your horizons. It's very easy to read about places or to watch movies, but to actually be there is important and to experience something other than what you're used to. My daughter, who lives right now, the younger daughter who lives in South Dakota. South Dakota is a very conservative part of America. If you ever see one of the Indian movies, a movie about American Indians where they're riding across and hunting the buffalo and everything, and plains, that could be in South Dakota. There are many Indian reservations in South Dakota. And many people, she's at a university there, the University of South Dakota State University, and many people have never left the state. They have grown up and lived there all their life. And here, my daughter has lived in Guam, she's visited Japan, she's visited China, she lived in Greece, she visited France, Britain, different countries. And she every once in a while she'll say, "Thank you, Mother, for showing me the world." She says she has such a different outlook on life compared to these people who have never gone anywhere. And so I think having the opportunity to travel somewhere, even if it's Australia, if it's Thailand, if it's Japan, Korea, Macau, anywhere, I think it gives you a different outlook and a different appreciation even for your home.
So speaking of Japan, there are a lot of Japanese in Dalian. Mm-hmm. Do you have any difficulty in talking with them?
I don't usually run into anybody that I speak with. I spend most of my time on campus or out shopping, and so I'm not... Actually, I'm also a member of our new Toastmasters Club. We have a Toastmasters Club now in Dalian, and that's a club to improve your communication skills and your leadership skills. It's an international organization that's been in operation for over 80 years, and we just established our first club in Dalian. And so I see those people once a week. But other than that, I don't see many people other than my students and the other people on campus.
So, when you were in Japan, was it difficult to accept that you're bound to ball all the time?
Oh, as a foreigner, of course, you don't have to do any of that. And I was just impressed how amazingly polite and helpful the people were. my daughters and I were there, and we went to a Geisha show performance, and the doors opened and everybody flooded into the auditorium, and where are we going to sit? I didn't know. And some lady got up and she came out and she picked up the youngest daughter and she said, come, and she helped me find a seat. And then another occasion I was asking one person for help to find someplace, and she walked with me 2 blocks so that I would find the right place that I was looking for. I was very impressed.
So, Japanese are all very friendly?
The ones that I encountered were very friendly and very helpful, yes. But of course, it's difficult to make any generalizations. I'm sure there must be people who weren't, but all the people I met were very kind.
So, have you ever been in the other part of the world except Europe and China, Japan, or?
Yes, I've been to Israel several times. I've been to Iran.
Israel, Iran.
I've been to Iran. I've visited many holy
Middle
places.
East part? Okay, so there are sort of, is there a lot of riots, wars out there?
That's the thing. When we read about places, we assume that that's what it's always like. Like if you read that there's a murder in New York City, you're assuming that it's very dangerous there. But hey, you can live for years and years and years and never see a gun. You never see, any violence. So it's the same with when you travel anywhere. You could go to Chengdu and not worry about earthquakes. You could go to Sichuan province and go, live there for 20 years and certainly not worry about earthquakes. So it's right now, perhaps the time is not very good, but in certain places of the world. But when I was there, it was okay.
So we're going to conclude this interview. So what do you want to say to the doofies?
To the doofies, I want to say, hey, keep up the good work. You have a beautiful place here. Take care of it. Study hard. Speak English every day. And you listen to VOA every day to improve your listening skills.
I'll probably do that.
Okay.
So, thank you for your time.
All right. My pleasure.
So,
Bye.